Hi YouTube, this is Tinka OES Lady. I am coming to do a brief update on what we're doing here for homeschooling this year. If you have listened to my last video, you have since learned that I'm no longer using Connection Academy. I am now using or attempting to use my own curriculum this year. What I found that has really been somewhat daunting was the process for declaring that you're going to be homeschooling, and I'm just going to briefly go over that. You're required by the state of Pennsylvania to send in an affidavit for each one of your students briefly stating that you are going to be supervising their education and that they will be making academic progress for that school year. Also, you have to write an objectives based on what is required for that grade level or the grade level that they are supposed to be in for that year. So I have submitted all of that information in, and I haven't heard anything back, but what I do know that we have to do is keep attendance. They must attend 180 days or 900 hours, so I do keep attendance, and also I have to keep a portfolio for the end of the year for review, and they must attend the public schools PSSA testing this year. I need to also get an evaluator. I'm not sure if other states require this, but an evaluator is a person who is qualified by having a teacher certificate and teaching at least 2 years in the grade level of your student to come out and decide whether or not you're making academic progress. I have not chosen one yet. I will have one chosen by the beginning of the new year so that I can have this evaluation done in the spring and have my portfolio turned in as close to the end of the year as possible. I want to try to get it earlier, but I don't want to cut off any days. So I want to show you first thing that I did was I bought a at a glance at Staples, and this is for a teacher's planner. In the back is where you keep attendance. The only downside about using this as opposed to my pre-printed attendance sheets is that it doesn't include weekends, and also it has open pages for you to do week by week what you're going to do. Okay, and you can do it per student, per week, and per subject, and this is very handy. I like the size of it. I like that basically I either just stick a lot of things in the bag or just paper clip it. Right now I got coupons in here so I don't want them to drop out. I want to say hello to Erin on YouTube. She goes under the name Ajahi, and also to A Hermit, who answered a lot of my questions this week. What I'm using for my 4th grader this year is at this moment. I want to preface everything as at this moment because this is our first year and I'm still tweaking our curriculum to see what works. So at this moment I'm using Learn at Home. This is a very thick book. It has about 380 pages, and what it does is this is a total curriculum guide to teach your child at home. I have the grade 4 edition, and it goes week by week, and it gives you teaching strategies. It gives you all of the subjects that you can be doing that week, and it also tells you how you can supplement this book. Okay, so you're going to also go outside of this book. There's also activities and exercises within this book for just about all the subjects. So as far as my lesson plan goes, I'm going to just go by this, and anything that I do outside of this will just be considered a deviation, and I will just add it in. But it's just easier for me to follow this at this time. I also go to a website called mathaids.com, and I print out worksheets for both of my students to do for math. Science, I'm looking for a website to pull up some things. I have noticed on the two homeschoolers that I mentioned previously, both use a very thick encyclopedia type science book that covers just about everything in science, and they use that as their spine or their textbook. And as they go through each thing, whether it's life science, etc., they just supplement that subject, that topic, by going to the internet in various places. So that is what I do plan to do, and that's something that can be used for any age group, any grade. So I do plan on doing that. In fourth grade, she's still doing spelling lists. This book also has a reading list that you can follow. The one thing that I do enjoy about this reading list, as opposed to reading lists that in the past I would receive from my daughter's teacher, is that it's not a lot of, it's more of the classics. It has like, oh, the places he went, story about Dr. Seuss, um, the Oxford Book of Story Poems, The Secret Garden, which we already picked up at the library, the story of Lewis and Clark, Helen Keller, From Tragedy to Triumph, The Island of the Blue Dolphin. I have that one from the library. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis, and etc. Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Memphis. So it's a lot of the classics, not so much of the ones that are very popular right now, which I don't mind them reading, but for school purposes, I do need them to read the classics, things that are tried and true. Also, if y'all don't remember, I went to the African American um, book author and book festival last year, and I picked up a lot of books that were for African American children. So we have many, many books to pull from that we will read this year. Now, what I plan to do for each book that we read is I'm going to make up a form and a format for what needs to be done after each book is read. And that will include, the genre, who wrote it. There'll be a section where they have to write about the setting. They'll have to talk about different characters in the book, and then they will give me a brief synopsis of the book. And after that is done, they will turn that in, and then I will consider this book completed. Etc. Because what they will do is they will do a lot of independent reading. Some of it we will not go over in the coursework of our school day. Um, for history, if everyone is familiar with The Well-Trained Mind, I have a book called The Story of the World, History for the Classical Child, and this is Volume 1, Ancient Times, by Susan Weisbauer, and she is sisters with the lady who writes The Well-Trained Mind, um, from what I understand. And this book goes through the earliest nomads to the last Roman emperor, so there will be 2 volumes if we finish it this year. However, it's written so straightforward, so simple, so full of information and fact base, that it can be used as a read along with my 4th grader and as an independent book for my 9th grader. And I also have the workbook that has the questions that goes with this, and I also have the CD-ROM that goes with this book, and it goes chapter by chapter. There's a truck going by. It goes chapter by chapter, and they just basically, it's read so well. This narration is just wonderful. I enjoy listening to it. So this is definitely a keeper. It's called The Story of the World. I truly enjoy it. So this is what we'll be doing a lot of our history from. Also, we do current events. Of course, I attended a historically black high school and historically black college, so of course I will be going over a lot of African American history, African Americans in history, and etc. So a lot of our subjects will have that. Even in science, I will go into African American inventors in the process and getting patents. And I printed out all the inventions that were made by African Americans, and it was pages and pages until we got to the current day, where it may be one or two patents, when it used to be hundreds of patents by African Americans. So I want to see if we can't bridge that gap. I'm challenging everybody to be thinking about inventions. I would think a lot of times we just do things and don't even realize it's an invention until you see it made, and you're like, oh, they done made something out of that. Now, I have to buy that instead of what I used to do. So that's basically where I'm at right now. I have my students in preparation for the portfolio. I have them make a folder for each subject: science, social studies, language arts, math. I don't have one for health and PE and handwriting, all that stuff yet. Handwriting, I didn't even really touch on with my fourth grade that much last year, so I have her book from last year that we are doing our handwriting. And to me, handwriting is only somewhat important. I also have these Reader's Digest Best Loved Books for Young Readers. This is Little Women, Louisa May Alcott, but it's been digested, if you know what I mean. It's been broken down and written in a much easier to understand form for kids, and I'm going to be using these. I have maybe about 10 of these books, and they're all the classics. I got these from my mother's house. These books are probably rather old. She bought them for $1.99. I don't know if you can see that. So I have maybe, like I said, between half dozen and 10 of those. And that's our plan for this year. I will be updating you again on how we're doing. If you have any questions or any suggestions, please help me. Please comment, and please rate and subscribe if you feel the need to. This is Tinka OES Lady. Thank you.